Hello, my name is Vladimir Pletser. I'm the scientific editor of this book, Preparation of Space Experiment, published by IntechOpen publication. I'm a physicist and engineer. I worked for 30 years at the European Space Agency in charge of payload development for microgravity research during spaceflight on board Space Lab first and then on board the International Space Station. I was also in charge of the parabolic flight program, which is this kind of flight that we do on board test aircraft following parabolic trajectory, which can recreate weightlessness condition like the same condition like the astronaut would experience on board the ISS. I worked then for 2 years at the invitation of the Chinese Academy of Science at the Technology and Engineering Center for Space Utilization to support the Chinese microgravity program as well. So you could say that I'm an expert in microgravity, and that's why I was asked by the editor of IntechOpen publication to contribute to this book. So I've asked some of my colleagues and friends to contribute also some of chapters. And actually, this book is the outcome of this collective work. So this book presents some facets of microgravity research and how scientists prepare their experiment before sending them to space. Each chapter is written by experts in their own field and summarize their research methods and, when already available, some results as well. This book includes three parts. The first part includes two chapters presenting the means and methods of microgravity research. The first chapter, Research in Microgravity in Physical and Life Science Introduction to Means and Methods, introduces what is microgravity and why it is important for scientific research. Several examples are given of microgravity effects in physical science and in human physiology. The various microgravity platforms and simulation tools are reviewed. Second chapter, Aircraft Parabolic Flight, a Gateway to Orbital Microgravity and Extraterrestrial Planetary Gravities. This chapter presents this unique tool allowing research in reduced gravity from weightlessness at 0g to partial g between 0 and 1g, like on the Moon, 0.16g, and Mars, 0.38g. Parabolic flight are the unique microgravity platform, as it is the only suborbital microgravity platform that allows to fly human operators and subjects in microgravity to conduct their research. The second part on physical science includes 5 chapters with examples of research in fluid physics and material science. Chapter 3, Jitter Vibration Diffusion, the EVDL experiment, explain why mechanical vibration, either periodic or random, cannot be ignored in microgravity and their effects on diffusion in fluids. An experiment called EVDL was designed and tested several times in parabolic flight before being sent to space on the ISS. Chapter 4, Red Blood Cell Dynamics, the contribution of microgravity in the Biomics project, report on a series of experiments of applied fluid physics simulating blood flow. The complexity of blood flow, owing to its composition and the effect of its different constituents, was modelized and investigated during several parabolic flight campaigns and in space during sounding rocket flight. Chapter 5, Cavitation Bubble in Microgravity, introduced the concept of cavitation and its importance in several technology applications. This chapter relates also the human adventure of what started as a student experiment and evolved as a world-class research field with application in food processing, technology, medicines, and astrophysics. Chapter 6, Capillary-driven flows under microgravity condition from parabolic flight to space experiment, deals with capillary-driven seepage in microgravity, as capillary force are the major mechanism behind flows in microgravity. Theoretical models are first established and confront the result of numerical simulation and microgravity experiment conducted during parabolic flight and in space on the space shuttle. Applications of this research are numerous. Examples for oil recovery on Earth, for hydroponics plant facility in space, and so on. Chapter 7, Experiment Preparation and Performance for the Electromagnetic Levitator EML on board the International Space Station, is devoted to the technique of electromagnetic levitation for thermal experiment processing on heating, melting, and solidification of contactless material samples. A series of experiments conducted over 3 decades with previous facilities on Space Lab, parabolic flight, and sounding rocket lead to the development of this new facility that is flying now on the International Space Station. This chapter includes a step-by-step description on how a scientific experiment is designed, translated in technical instruction, and executed on board the ISS while controlled from ground facilities. The third part on life science includes 4 chapters on human physiology and neurophysiology and on testing of equipment for human research in space. Chapter 8, a device for sampling earlobe arterialized blood in space and other austere environments, outlines the development and testing in microgravity simulation and in parabolic flight of a method for safely collecting blood samples in microgravity and in space. The research and steps taken to ensure suitability and applicability in preparation for future growing presence of humans in space. Chapter 9, Grip, Dexterous Manipulation of Objects in Weightlessness, explains how gravity influences the arm movement during manipulation of an object and how the central nervous system adapts to long-term exposure to microgravity and subsequently to the return to Earth's gravity. A series of experiments on fine object manipulation at different reduced gravity levels were conducted during parabolic flight and led eventually to the design of the GRIP experiment being operated presently on the International Space Station. Chapter 10, Preparing, Implementing, and Executing Human Cardiovascular Experiment in Space, explains the step-by-step procedure to propose, prepare, test, and conduct a human physiology experiment in space. Several cardiovascular experiments conducted for 30 years on space shuttle flight, on Space Lab, and on ISS are presented. These experiments have greatly contributed to our present understanding of the human cardiovascular system, not only in microgravity in space, but also for terrestrial scientific purpose. Chapter 11, Tumors in Space, Preparation for Spaceflight, describes a novel and unique approach to conduct a cancer research experiment at the intersection of space technology and stem cell biology. The chapter exposes the various steps followed by international investigator team to prepare for and to perform this groundbreaking experiment on organoids using ground simulation and to fly on parabolic flights, on sounding rocket, and on the future Chinese space station. In conclusion, this book presents some of the current trends in space microgravity research. The 11 chapters introduce various facets of space research and physical science, human physiology, and technology developed using microgravity environment, not only to improve our fundamental understanding in this domain, but also to adapt this new knowledge for application on Earth. This book not only relays the scientific research approach, but also the human adventure and friendship behind each experiment endeavor and how it developed over the years. So to conclude, I would like to thank all the authors and co-authors who contributed to this book and who put dedication since many years to bring answer to scientific questions in the quest to understand and to open up the space environment to humankind. So I invite you to download this chapter. It's an open access, and so it's a free access to download all these chapters. And I invite you also to purchase the paper copy of this book, which is published by IntechOpen publication, and also part of the anniversary celebration of this publication house. So thank you very much, and if you need anything further information, do not hesitate to contact me or any of the authors of this book. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good reading.